Good morning, everyone. Oh, it's a good group. Good morning. Is this my deck? Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm Cyrus, everyone. I'm the lead product manager for Chrome for business, education, and government. So basically, anyone that uses Chrome not for personal use kind of falls under me. So I had some questions before we started, just so I can get a sense for what's going on. I wrote them down here. Just so I can get a sense for kind of where you guys are with Chrome. So how many of you have heard of Chrome? Okay, that used to be a question I would ask years ago. How many, which is good, 100%. How many of you use Chrome at home? How many of you use Chrome at home as your kind of go-to default browser? It's just not happened to be somewhere on your machine. Okay, that's great, fantastic. Now how many of you use Chrome at work when you come into, oh, that's actually really good. How many of you have, at your agency, your IT policy is still the default is Internet Explorer? Right. And how many of you believe that's because there are still many apps that require Internet Explorer? It's usually okay. Or it's just because that's the standard and they really have never wanted to update it. And then we're also going to be talking a little bit about something new, some new direction we're taking Chrome. And I want to get a sense for where you guys are with this new trend, which I'm sure you've all heard of, which is BYOD, bring your own device. How many of you guys can do any type of work for your agency organization on your personal device? Some of you. So email? No? Yes? Debatable. If you have a CAC reader and all that great stuff. Okay. How many of your agencies have any type of policy around this? Whether we allow it, it's absolutely forbidden, don't even try it, have a nice day, you need to use this. Okay, good. Okay, so this helps me, so I get a sense for where we are. If all of you are, we all use our personal devices, then I would know where we are. Okay, so all of you probably are longing for this day, and some of you may already be in this day, where there's a worker sitting at his desk, there's someone at the airport on their phone, or on their tablet, there's someone waiting at the bus stop, and they're all connected. Right? They're all able to communicate with each other. They're all, doing things that they weren't even doing, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. And what's enabled this is a revolution from this, right? From this, this was the world, right? Your entire world, and maybe some of you are still in this, where your entire work world is on one machine. Is anyone's world this, where you come to work and that's all you have? Oh God, how sad. I come from such a spacey place in comparison, it seems. With Google, we have 87 devices each, and we throw them out, and we just get something new, and we just up and running. So this used to be the world, right? And not only was your entire world on this thing, right, and 68 days to boot this thing, because who knows what they've done on this, and then you'll start it in the morning, you'll press the button, and then you'll go for a coffee break, and then you'll come back, and well, I guess it's doing something, right? Something critical, top secret, right? And then if it died, right, there's that major paranoia in your face that, oh my God, I was in Word and I was 86 pages down and I don't know, the whole thing just died, and I hope that auto recovery thing did something useful, right? And then, we moved to this world where there was at least a network file share, right? So that you could all connect, but now look, Johnny is in my document and, freaking kill Johnny because I need to get in my Excel file and I can't and it's locked. And so this is really, really sadly, right, the 90s. And it's really the world of a lot of us. Today, I would say. And so we're going to kind of show you a glimpse of how the rest of us work. This is what's enabled it, right? This concept of the cloud, which you've all heard of, which is basically any device anywhere can get to anything. And it's actually very liberating. When you think about that concept, actually higher security, ironically, than lower security, which a lot of people don't get. And we'll talk a lot about security. But this concept of the device is irrelevant, right? Going back to that concept of dumb terminals, right? Who's ever used one, by the way? I'm probably dating myself. I used it back in the early 90s. Yes, people. Green, right? Wasn't it? It was like literally text. It was a green. And what happened? If something horrible happened, they would take the monitor off your desk and throw it in the garbage, and they'd put a new one in, and they'd plug in some ISDN line or something. You're ready to go, right? You didn't lose anything because there was nothing on that device, and you didn't really care. So this cloud is really that same next revolution. And I mean, the numbers are staggering. This is IDC, I believe, if I'm remembering all my sources. 67 billion, which is just an insane amount of money spent on this whole revolution. So it's coming. It used to be 3 years ago, I would say, is this really happening? And now it's not is it, it's when, and how long will it take my agency to get there? Please do it soon. This is also the reality at work now, which is very interesting. Last year, 2.8 devices already gone up by a very large amount. And by next year, more than 3 on average, which is staggering, number of devices per person. This year, and this is also very interesting, mobile will actually overtake the PC, right? That's how many people are. In China, it's already happened, right? So this whole mobile thing, right, is coming at breakneck speed. How many people, by the way, have a tablet at home? Look at that, right? Which a few years ago, why in the world would I need that? I don't know. So this is that concept I was talking about, right? Bring your own device, which all of you had heard of BYOD, right? Before I came here, this is not I don't have to go into what it is and all that. But look at how new this is. This is kind of, right, Google lets you kind of see any trend of anything that's going on. And if you look at the top, it's kind of the peak interest. That's about 100. So everything is scaled to 100. And it just shows you this whole, people weren't even searching. They didn't even know what this was a few years ago, which is fantastic. So what's going on with this whole BYOD thing? Is this real? Why do we care? How is this related to Chrome? So that's what I'm here to tell you about. So if you look, I love these quotes, by the way. So 88% of executives already said, people are already doing it. Like, we let them, or they do it for certain applications. They do it for whatever, even just their calendar invites or whatever. More than half already allow access from a personal device. More than half, of course, also said it's rising. This last stat is my favorite, which is, you can't even believe it, which is 40% of college students and 45% of employees would accept a lower paying job if you let them use their own device. This is how badly people don't want to use the piece of junk that you put on their desk. Okay? Like, I literally will take less money if you let me use what I use at home, right? And maybe it's my fruit, or maybe it's my laptop, or whatever it happens to be, I want to use that, right? I don't want to use, this horrific nightmare, and I want to pull my hair out, right? And so this is coming. People are used to using what they like. They're fast at it. You've seen the tweens and how quickly they can text like a whole 70,000-page essay in 5 seconds, but if you ask them to do the essay, they actually won't do it. Here's some actual stats on Fed, right? Which is, we're all here. If you actually look at the real problems and the perceived problems, they're actually slightly different. So there are real barriers to them having it. But the good news is the users want it. There's a tremendous pull to get your own device. But there are real issues. We have to make sure we do this in a certain way. And this is what we're going to talk about. What are the big problems, and why can't the companies get there? There's actually a whole bunch on actual cost savings, and especially when you think about public institutions, the pressure on saving costs, and if your employees would rather bring their own device, we really, really got to solve this problem, and it'll be really, really nice to do that. So why Where is this going? Is this really happening? Yes, this graph shows it. It's very much happening at a very fast pace. You can actually see, and most people think this will actually be even quicker than this, but within 5 to 7 years, almost half of every organization will be 100% bring your own device, which is kind of staggering when you think about this trend and how fast it's coming. So as much as we would love this, this is really the world that we live in, right? We're in darkness. We have our device. We can't really do much. Well, we can do much. It's in our pocket. We take it out. We can do Facebook at lunch. And then we put it away, right? Anyway. But you can't do your work, right? You can't go home early, et cetera. The ramifications of this are very real. Why is this so hard? So let's actually talk about why this is so hard. So let's take a simple expense tracking application that you guys might have, right? So you guys use it at work. It's fine. You use it on your corporate device. Why can't we get this to any device that's out there, that you're bring your own device, right? That would be the idea. Well, first of all, I've got to sit there and I've got to worry about the security of the application. Where can it get to? What are the settings that I want it to have when it's on different? How do I update this thing? How do I patch it? How do I track where it is? What policies do I have? And then I've got to say, well, do I have to make an iOS one? I got to make sure it works on Mac and PC and Linux. And actually, even if I do a web version, I got to make sure it works in Internet Explorer and it works in Chrome and it works in Firefox. And this whole thing is a nightmare. I've got to make one simple application. I want these people to use it, and I've got to worry about 100 different things. So there's got to be an easier way for you guys to do this. For any agency, any organization, any company should be able to do this much easier. They should be able to make an application one time, and it gets to any device, personal or work, consistently, securely, right? We actually believe we found a way to do this. So, and we started circulating this idea. People came up to us and they said, you know, there's something interesting about Chrome. Chrome as a browser is the only browser that is available on 6 different platforms, right? If you think about it, there's no other browser that's actually even close. Even if you take aside Chrome devices, it's available on Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS. I'm trying to remember the other 5. And then Chrome devices, of course. So it's available in all these places. Well, that puts it in a very interesting position, because if I make sure that the web application is accessible and works nicely in Chrome, I just got all my platforms for free, all right? Which is actually very interesting. I don't have to go and build, and then you say, well, is it as sexy, is it as nice as an Android app or as an iOS app? And we'll actually show you, in a lot of cases, actually a lot nicer. And a lot of that is just, again, it's perception. It's the cutesiness of the icon that, that bounces on the screen, and it's lots of fun. But so that's one big benefit, is you don't have to worry about upgrading and that native application, the native code, and the patching and getting it out there. And then there's one additional thing that makes this really interesting for organizations when you build it for Chrome. Is you can actually manage exactly how that application works, who gets access to it, on what devices, when, all centrally, all from the cloud, right? So again, anyone using Chrome on any device anywhere gets this application or doesn't get it, and you can manage all that from the cloud. So we'll talk about that. The reason this is all possible is because the web doesn't actually look like this. Oh, look, this works. The web doesn't look like this anymore. Who remembers Netscape, by the way? Who used it? Oh, I know. Mosaic? Anyone but pre-Netscape? No? Oh, some people. Let's see, Mosaic. I loved Mosaic. That little. Okay. We digress. So the web isn't text and links. It's actually this, amazing, powerful platform that we all really love. And we like to think that Chrome has really been leading a revolution in this space and really pushing the web forward. So let's talk a little bit about what this is and where we're going with Chrome. And some of this stuff is a little forward-looking, but you guys sound good. So a lot of people ask, how's Chrome doing? It's great in the personal world, but it's doing well in this whole business thing. At work, it's a very different story. I have to use the blue icon, and I just hate it. It's actually, I think the writing's on the wall where Chrome is going to be in just about a few months. It's on a tear in business. It's actually very interesting. When you look at the trend of which browsers are winning in business, And this is Forrester numbers in the reports all the way up to this year. The reason is actually very interesting. There are 3 different groups all pulling for Chrome within an organization. One is the users, right? Which is, The second is the IT, right? Because they're the geeks and they go home and they're using Chrome and then they come to work and they want to pull their hair out. And then the third is actually the developers that say, you know what, I'm building these great web applications. I got all these new features, and background web apps and offline, and I can't do any of it because you've given me IE3. Okay, kill me now. Right, so I want to use the really neat new stuff, and I can't, so please help me. Why are users asking? This is we actually covered this earlier, but I love this. I love this graph. We looked at this and we said, what is going on? Chrome gets this spike every single weekend, and then it dips on Monday. We said, what's going on with this Chrome usage thing? And then we said, oh yeah, they go back to work on Monday. And so the user pull is probably the single largest pull for Chrome. And we're actually going to talk about the Department of State. I don't know, did you guys see that Hillary Clinton in the Department of State when she went up? There's actually a video of this on YouTube I love. And she goes up and she says, and she's doing this huge press conference, the department, and she finally says, okay, and we heard you, we're going to be rolling out Chrome. Right? And there was an eruption of applause, which we love. This is a fantastic scene to see because this is exactly what the users want. They're asking for this, for a better browser, and for it to be allowed. And I don't have to sneak around and use it, and they can just use it, right? Which is nice. So we talked about, it's nice. Chrome is there on all the platforms, which is nice. But there's something else that makes that interesting. The fact that Chrome is on every device means when you're at work and you're using Chrome and you're in the middle of 9 tabs, and you lock your screen, right? And you're walking to your car, the metro, right? You take out your phone, and you literally, right, because you have to leave early to go to daycare, right? You take out your phone, you say, well, what tabs did I have open, right? Because Chrome syncs across all your, so what tabs did I have open? You can look at your tab, and you can be literally back in the actual cell that you were working on your spreadsheet, finish your work, right? You don't have to bookmark it or email yourself a link and say, I got to finish this doc, when I get to another computer, right? So this sync is extremely powerful, right? Every single thing that you're doing, bookmarks, tabs, search history, et cetera, is kind of available to you if you want. Companies, of course, always have the option, or agencies or whatever, to turn all of this off and say you don't get any of the cool cloud stuff. That is an option, of course. And Matt will talk a lot more about what you can actually do to lock this thing down. How is it doing on speed? When I ask all of you probably what is the reason you installed Chrome and you used it, probably someone told me this thing was really, really fast and I should do it. And fast is still the #1 reason. Ironically, not the reason we made Chrome. Part of it, the main reason was security. Was built to be the most secure, first sandboxed, first multi-process browser ever. But this wins. We'll take it. What other things are neat about Chrome? One, of course, and this is not from us, this is GitHub, looking at all the different HTML5 specs and saying who's most compliant with HTML5. And you can see Chrome continues to not just set the standard with the web consortia, but it also continues to make sure we put those features in there so developers can use the latest. This is very radical, right? When Chrome introduced this concept, make sure that it's super stable, to make sure that something in tab 7 doesn't freak out and crash my entire browser. Does anyone still have that happening? Or I can truly say that it has not happened to me in years. But that you're doing something and all of a sudden it just kills your entire world. Although that could happen in Chrome in theory. Security, we'll talk a lot about Chrome security. And Matt will cover a good amount of all the different security features that are in there. But this truly was actually one of the main reasons we built this. There's a lot of security features here. And it's not just the security of the browser and the sandboxing and actually the defense in depth and all the other cool things that we do to make sure that this is a fortress for security. But we even tie in, again, if you allow, to a lot of cloud services, a lot of the Google brains about what sites are bad, what does this look like phishing, sending you updated information on malware constantly. Which is really nice. Another nice thing about Chrome, which is good and bad, some agencies love it, some say this is horrible, is this thing is, if you want, always up to date, right? Just imagine that concept of you don't have to go on Patch Tuesday and sift through, okay, critical patch X1738. What do I do? Do I do anything? Do I just stare at it? Do I hope it goes away? Do I wait till next Tuesday? Right? Do I call Johnny at the other place and say, did you roll this baby out, right, to your 50,000? Right? So this, you shouldn't have to deal with that constant annoyance of patching and rolling out and upgrading, and your whole life is doing this, right? Hopefully. So what can you set with this thing? Is it just Chrome? Is it the consumer thing? No, a lot of people don't even know this is a full enterprise, right? It's got an MSI for enterprise deployment. It's got all the great, 100 different policies you can set. So it's got a lot of great stuff. And Matt, again, is going to talk a lot more about that in the how to deploy this section. There's another cool thing that we launched. A lot of people don't know. We actually launched this just last month. A lot of people have IE and they have Chrome. But the problem is there's a certain set of sites, sometimes 191, that require the blue E. And for everything else, you'd love to just use Chrome, regular surfing and unclassified, and you want to be surfing the web. So how do we make it so that users don't get annoyed and frustrated and, oh, God, I tried to open this thing in Chrome, and it just freaked out and died, and the menus aren't working, and the buttons aren't working. Or the opposite, they're in this insecure nightmare, and they can't even do basic searching because it's so much less secure, and you're really putting the whole thing at risk. So how do we solve this? So we launched something. It's entirely free. You can go download it. It's called Legacy Browser Support, which basically allows your IT admin, it's like 5 settings, to go in and push out to your machines. This is the URL types, prefixes or servers or whatever, that need to open in an alternate browser, in IE, or you can flip it if IE is your default. These are the ones that need to open in Chrome because they're new HTML5 ones, but everything else stays in IE. Either way you do it. And this has received tremendous success. We got something like 5,000 users running this within like a few days of launch, which was pretty interesting. So you should look into this, Google it. Legacy Browser Support, I think it's at chrome.com/LBS. I have to remember that URL. We should add it here or something. But it's actually really, really interesting to look at, or ping it to your admin and say, hey, is this going to help us? The other reason this is really neat is it's seamless for the user. They can even be not in the web. They can be in Outlook. They can click on some link to some expense website, right? And the browsers will figure out where it has to go automatically, and it'll open the right browser, right? So it's really nice. It's very, very easy to deploy because you're not doing anything really that magical. Another nice thing you can do with Chrome is you can do full application management. You can actually push the applications that you want them to see on their home screen when they go in, which is kind of nice, so they can see their whole world and the nice icons, like little app icons. It's very nice. You could turn off updating if you want. For instance, what our company has to say on Chrome 8 forever, or until we look at it next year. Right? That's fine. You could do that. We, of course, don't recommend it for the 12 million reasons, but that is entirely an option. We just basically give you full control. You also have the option, and I think Matt will cover this too. You have the option. A lot of people say, oh, this Chrome thing, what is it actually? Is this talking out to Google? Is this sending my world? So you can actually, Chrome is just a browser, right? So you can turn off every single aspect of it that talks to Google if you want. It's entirely within your control. People don't actually realize how much cool stuff is integrated with the cloud. For instance, you can translate a page on the fly, right? You can be looking at a page in Greek, and it will translate it, and it'll put it in English for you, right? But that requires a cloud service, right? Suggestions when you're typing in requires the cloud, right? Malware, phishing that we talked about requires the cloud. Auto-updating requires the cloud. So you can turn all of these things off if you want, but it's important to know what you're doing to your users. A lot of the reasons they like Chrome is for those reasons, but for a lot of reasons, security reasons, people have to do that. So that's certainly there. And then something that we just launched to Google Apps customers, if you're Google Apps, and we are seeing what we can do for the rest because we've heard a lot of interest from non-apps customers, is you can actually manage the entire thing I just mentioned, the 100 different policies, minus a few, from the cloud. So from a Google admin console, you can manage Chrome. You don't need group policy. You don't need a server sitting in some room where you go in and you edit registry. But why would I do this? Why would I care? What's the benefit of this? Well, again, the benefit now is on a device that's not even your own, you can manage how Chrome works when they sign in. So a user that goes and says, I want to go to see my work stuff, they sign into Chrome on any device that's in your pocket. Imagine you sign in, and now your IT admin is actually managing that. And we've already rolled this out to Windows, Mac, and Linux, which means as of today, if you're a Google Apps customer and you go on your personal Mac at home, your Chrome is actually fully customized by your company, which is amazing. All right? You're getting every policy that they want you to have, which is really revolutionary. There's no other browser can do something like that. I talked about the US Department of State. I love this, right? And how hard is it to deploy? Matt will cover all this. But in 2 weeks, they installed it on 58,000 PCs, which I love that. It truly was something that was driven by user pull, which I also really, really like. And again, people are used to it. They like it for a long, long list of reasons. And now, taking it just one last step further. Oh, good. I'm right. Very good on time. Exactly. Taking it one step further, then there's this cool thing, which, how many of you played with a Chrome device, by the way? How many of you saw a Chrome device for the first time this year? How many today saw one for the first time? Some of you. Why did we do this? First of all, why is Google doing a browser? Aren't you guys a search company? You're all over the place. You're killing me. Right. So let me give some background. Right. Google is a web company. We deliver web applications. We want to deliver the fastest, best web applications. So we make sure Gmail loads as fast as possible and still takes a few extra seconds that I don't like. But we want your applications to be amazing. So then we looked at it and we said, you know what? We're really trying to push the envelope on these applications. We want multi-way video. We want all these amazing things. And then we're trapped in this horrible browser world. And so we went to Mozilla and we paid them millions of dollars and said, come on, please fix it. It's open source. We're going to help you. And we sat with them and we banged our heads on the wall for a long time. We said, you know, we're just going to do this. We're going to do it. Within 2.5, 3 years, I think, we became the #1 browser in the world. We're like, we had to move that quickly. So we're a web company. We need the window to the web. Ironically, we called it Chrome because we wanted the Chrome to get away. When we entered the browser world, people said, do you need another browser? We called it Chrome because the area surrounding the browser is called the Chrome. And there were this many, one of the toolbars was ours, buttons and rows and icons. And the buttons were like this big on your screen. And then so you could see the web in the last 2 inches. You could scroll, you know. And so we said, this is stupid. Right? You need to get it away. It has to be taken away. The Chrome of the browser has to go away. You have to be immersed in the web content. And so we built Chrome. And then we said, OK, now we've solved the browser. We've solved this. And then we said, but there's another problem. Right around the same time, we said, we've got to get the bits to them faster. Our servers are fast. Now their browser is fast. And so we launched the Google Fiber Initiative, as you know. So now we're solving the whole stack. Right? And then we had a great browser. We had great internet connection, then we had a great server, and then you're on your machine, you're all excited, and it takes you 3 days to open Chrome when you boot your computer. You're just waiting. When can I click it? When can I get my work started? The machine took forever, and then there's all of a sudden an antivirus takes over, and there's bouncing balls on the bottom telling you that there's some update going on, and you're just annoyed. And again, just like Chrome, we wanted all of that to disappear. And so we built the final, what we believe, piece of this, which is let's actually solve the operating system problem. So that's what we did. And that's really what this is. This is to showcase the ultimate. And then actually we took it one step further. And we actually said, let's actually even showcase what the ultimate hardware will be. And in a lot of cases, people have considered the Chrome Pixel, ironically also named the Pixel because we wanted the Pixel to disappear. We never want you to think about a Pixel again. This is what we consider the ultimate web experience. Period. Best display on the market anywhere. There's no monitor with this high DPI. Touch screen, but this is not for the masses. The goal of this was to showcase what is now possible when you own the entire end-to-end, right? Get everything out of the way, get you immersed in the web content as quickly as possible. And so that's just some background on why we did this. This is the world, right? Now we take it into the business world, right? This is the world of managing hardware for a business, which is To call this a nightmare would actually be an understatement. You've got to manage the actual hardware and constantly refreshing it. And oh God, that person's still on a 286. Let's please do something before they, jump out their window. And then you've got the operating system. We've got to just update that. Is anyone on XP still, by the way? XP? Okay. Forrester, believe it or not, says 38% of organizations in the world are still on XP, and you've got about 12 months, it looks like. So this is going to be fun. CIOs have told, this is true story, I'm not making this up. A CIO was sitting in a meeting with me in Mountain View, Building 45, and he said, you know what? I did the math. When you count up the user management and time and training to migrate my company from XP to Windows 7, it will take 500,000 man-hours. So I did the math. Right? It was a big company, 100,000 employees. Right? And he said the tragic, but he was just so depressed. He said, I will get zero value after I'm done. Zero. Zero. My company's not moving any faster. I didn't just make 20 new widgets. I didn't improve my profit. I did nothing. This is ridiculous that you would have to do and you would have to endure that much of a nightmare. Right? So the operating system is just one, and that's just one piece of this. And then it's backing up the data, then it's securing the data, then it's antivirus, and it's malware, and it's group policy, and it's pushing this out, and it's the browser, and it's the extensions, it's the patches, it's the plugins, it's the flash. This is so ridiculous and so depressing, and this is what almost every single IT department has to become an expert in managing hardware and operating. Imagine, right? McDonald's has to be doing this instead of, saving our life with better, healthier food. Right? So this is, right, Coca-Cola, right? Should be, they're like now experts in XP, right? I mean, it's so absurd when you think about it, right? And so this is the reality and the sadness of the desktop. And so we really are hoping to fix all of that, right? Give you, for those users that are on the web, why would we give you a Windows? It doesn't even make any sense. If you look at your own agency, I guarantee you, right? Guarantee there are sets of users that do nothing but sit on the web. So why would you give them, right? By the way, when this came out, I was actually, pre to this role, I was actually the first person in charge of Chromebooks for business education and government. And so we were looking, we thought schools would be great. Schools have been taking off. Chromebooks are selling like crazy. And then all of a sudden, I started getting calls from government agencies. And I actually came out here 2 or 3 times. And I still remember, I said, why are these government, you would think they're the last people to go for like this cloud device, this Wi-Fi. But then I remembered this device can be used entirely internally. It connects to your local network, and it just works. It doesn't have to talk to the world at all, right? It's just a Wi-Fi. And the organizations, this is true, that came to me and started testing these and have not found any issues, believe it or not. So U.S. Army intelligence came up to me, which was amazing. The AKO, the U.S. Naval War College, the U.S. Marine Corps, DHS, and ICE. Another group that I can't mention that had their contractor come out and say, on behalf of them, I need to tear this apart. And they didn't find anything. They wanted 3. I sent them to them. They loved it. This is really revolutionary. This device is the most secure device, period. And you will actually not hear anyone argue it. And not even close to a device that has any other operating system, but even aside from that. And the reason is how it was built, fundamentally with a TPM, with hardware signatures on it, with a concept of verified boot, where it actually will not even boot unless every single bit is verified at startup. Imagine, right, that kind of concept. So, So anyway, so this device is kind of locked down security-wise, which makes it very, very attractive. But the reason it's interesting for you guys, if you have sets of employees, you're looking around your agent, you look at, we did this at Google. I walked to my reception area, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, what application do you use? And they said, well, we look up people in our website HR system. And I said, well, what else do you do? And, well, we play on the web sometimes. And I said, okay, why do you have a Windows machine, right? Or why do you have a MacBook Pro that is $2,300, right? You're on the web. So I said, you'll be getting a Chromebook. And they're like, oh, I don't know what that's all about. And we gave it to them, and they were perfectly fine. They're up and running. They needed nothing else. And that's just one set of people, right? A very small set. And then I was actually on our building in 1950, like 3 feet down from me, there's a massage parlor, which is very strange. At Google, we have, anyway, I don't do all that. But you can go over there, and I'm looking at this, the masseuse. I'm like, what are you doing here? What do you use? And she says, well, I need to go to Calendar and look up who's on the. I said, oh, so Google Calendar, okay. And what else do you use on this Windows machine or this Mac that you don't? And she says, well, I need Pandora, so I can play soothing music. So I said, well, you don't need this, right? And we swapped them out. But you get the idea. These are ancillary random side use cases, but then there are entire sets of employees we found at organizations. They're shop floor kiosk employees. There are that don't do anything. They need a web application where they do something like that, et cetera. So there are sets of call center is a great example, right? Where all they do is they're sitting in their Genesis, right? Which is HTML5 and SIP, and you're up and running, right? And you don't need any of the nightmares that we just talked about. And so anyway, this is just an interesting, something to get your mind thinking about, this is a new way of working. There's a lot of devices, right, from all different OEMs out there that are building these all. And the other nice thing about it, when it's just the web, right, they start at $199, which is always nice. So now you're talking about cost savings. You can give them $199. And oh, by the way, they're up and running and it boots in 8 seconds. Right? It blows your mind, right? And that's the slowest one, right? And some of them last 8 hours of battery life and all that great stuff, right? Super lightweight and truly stateless and disposable. And the last interesting aspect of these is they're the most shareable computer in the world. What that means is, and Sundar, our SVP, has stood on stage and took his personal Chrome device and just handed it to Jeff in the front row and said, here you go. No one would ever do that. And the reason you can do that is because every single bit when a user signs in is 128-bit AES encrypted forever. And if he forgets his password, even Google, no one can get into that. It's done. You can. So a supercomputer after about 8 years could theoretically crack it. So we're looking at 256. But we digress. So it's safe for 8 years. So when you hand that over and the next person signs in, it becomes their device. Imagine you sign in, your entire world is right there. Where you left off, your tabs, your whole world is right there. So truly, it's disposable. $199, the computer dies, you slide it off the desk, and you put a new one on, and you've lost 0 time. So good. There's a lot of new features coming. I think you guys saw the kiosk, and Adam and Matt can talk to you more about that and show you examples of how that works. Very cool. So we covered a lot. I think, is this the last? I can't remember. I think we're good. There's a lot that we covered, about what Chrome is doing in business, and now I will turn it back over. Thank you guys very much. Thank you.